Hello everyone, I'm Caroline Wiseman and this is Alive in Lockdown. It's been exactly 1 year since Alive in the Universe at the Venice Biennale in the Palazzo Pesaro Papafava. We invited 28 artists to explore the theme of what does it feel like to be alive in the universe. And today I'm going to talk to two of those artists who did a wonderful project on one of the days. And those two artists are Flora Gathorne-Hardy and Miche Fabre Lewin of Touchstones. Hello, Flora and Miche.
Hello, Caroline.
Hello, Caroline. Lovely to be here with you again.
So I'm here in Wilbur. I'm in the art house here, and we've got the tower here, and it's a lovely sunny day. Now tell me where you both are. And you're both, we're all in lockdown. So where are you in lockdown?
We are, Caroline, not so far from you. We are in a village called Great Glenham in Suffolk, in the middle of a farm, in our cottage, and also between our cottage and our studio.
Fabulous. So sounds like you've probably been working very hard. Nice thing of being an artist is that it gives you all the time in the world to make lots of work, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Okay, so we're going to cast our minds back to think about this time last year, exactly this time last year, when we were in Venice. It seems like a whole age ago, doesn't it? In fact, it was an age ago, really. None of us, well, we thought very much about flooding, didn't we? The weather was so grim there, and flooding and storms was something we were thinking about. I don't think we ever thought that we're going to have this foe of this nasty little virus that's going to come along and not only try and kill us, but also try and ruin our whole lives and economies and livelihoods. We just weren't expecting that. And but then we gave you the brief. How does it feel to be alive in the universe? Tell everybody how you responded to that brief.
Thank you.
We responded with gratitude to water and giving water a voice while we were in Venice, which is obviously the city of water.
Cheers. Good health, Caroline.
We had a lovely day to choreograph amidst the floating city of Venice, and we had been invited to share the life of water. That was our project. And we were asking the question, what is it to care for water? And how do we open ourselves to what water is asking of us as a meta question to what is the environment, what is the universe, what is the world asking of us as human beings in this time of great dramatic climate awareness and the unfolding of the different degradations of our planet. So water was our theme, and the theme of being alive felt very true to the practices that we work with, Flora and I, as collaborators. It's the idea of how do we enliven people's experiences of the matter of the world, the matter of life, the matter of water, the matter of soil, the matter of food. So we chose to focus on water. And what we did was create a day where we had a convivial choreography of many different elements, which brought together different partners and collaborators who came to be with us because they were inspired by our theme. And so I think what we shared.
How did you make this into an artistic project as opposed to being a social project? Because that's what we were doing in Venice at the Biennale. It's a centre of the art world. So how did you, as artists, how did you turn what could be a social environmental project into an artistic project?
So I think, first of all, we would not see a difference between the social and the artistic. So our work is very much socially engaged. So Flora will give a sense of how we brought that together into a space of experiencing how those two come together, the animate and the social and the convivial.
Yeah. So Caroline, we began the process. We actually visited Venice 3 times. And the reason why we visited was to start building relationships with people who identified as artisans or artists, but also had a love of water. So on the day itself, the beautiful space that you were holding became a space of meeting of glassmakers.
Space a little bit more. Describe the space a little bit for those people who didn't see our amazing, the Palazzo. This is Palazzo Pesaro Baba.
Okay, so viewers, imagine in a city of water, walking into a cool, dark, gentle space with silk on the walls, but raw stone on the floor. And in the distance, at the far end of the room, there's an illuminated archway. And as you approach it, you begin to hear this extraordinary sound, and it's the sound of water. So as artists, we had the chance to curate an exhibition, an installation about water, and literally water was in the room. So when a boat went by, her voice would become louder as the water became agitated, and it would clap and slap. And as the tide rose and fell, so the water entered and retreated from the space. So it was a unique environment in which for people to encounter water in a new way. So I think the art that we were crafting was this art of encounter, a very deep spiritual meeting between people and the matter of water. So on the day itself, first thing, a boat arrived bringing vegetables from the island of Sant'Erasmo.
And it was a gondola, wasn't it? Was it a gondola or
It was actually a working boat, a bright blue working farm boat.
Yeah.
And into the space, he brought 20, 30 of his vegetables still with their soil on. And this was to remind the city of Venice that the life of water is what sustains us through our food. And also, I think, Miche, you might want to speak a bit about the beautiful work that emerged between ourselves and the glass work of Orsoni.
So Flora had done in her research, had met glass makers, mosaic makers, on one of the old artisan traditional furnaces still existent on the island of Venice, not in Murano, but Venice itself. And they, again, were very intrigued by our work, and they were looking to celebrate and contribute by making us become in tune with one of their old vessels, the crucibles in which the mosaics are made. And so they brought that also on a boat. So we had the vegetables from Sant'Erasmo. We had a beautiful crucible made up of all the colorful mosaic glazes, and into that we put the water, so the water essentially was honored by this beautiful, essentially a vessel made with water, but also through fire. So it was an elemental process that we were also bringing to people's senses. We also had a glass maker who molded special vessels and platters for us, again, which we made an installation. So essentially it was a multimedia, multi-interactive installation, which then also led to the showing of a film where we had slow motion filmed water just dappling in a stream with the leaves as part of an invitation to make a film. And then in the evening we choreographed a coming together, convivial coming together, where the food from Sant'Erasmo, the asparagus and eggs from the same farm, as well as bread, specially commissioned artisan bread, we sat and we ate and we talked. We also, before that, we had this extraordinary forum.
And maybe that's the art, Caroline, that you help inspire, and that's what our practice is all about, which was what we learned from people that day was that in one room we had maybe 15, 20 citizens of Venice, all who have their own world, whether it's glass or vegetables or mosaic or winemaking, and each of them shared a love of water. And what was so powerful is we created a forum where we all sat, and you were there, and we sat and we listened, and each person heard how the other cared for water. And suddenly there was this incredible sense of unity. And I think that's the spark, that's the art, in the true sense of art being rooted in the word rita, which is the art of being connected to the cosmic processes of life. And suddenly in that room, in that sacred space that you had created, there was this atmosphere of deep connection with each other through the water. We suddenly all realized that all of us depended on the life of water, and we were all companions in that.
Yeah.
And for us, that was a very powerful moment.
Particularly in that space, didn't it? I mean, you know, because it's such a extraordinarily wonderful, sort of like a sacred space, isn't it, really? It worked so well there, and it was beautiful. And I love, you know, this, because so many of the beautiful vegetables arrived in gondola, didn't they? So you had the sort of stream of them arriving and then delivering all these wonderful things that you presented so beautifully and aesthetically on the floor of this very raw building. It was incredibly raw. I don't think that room had been touched since Gothic times. It was really
also beautiful because we opened the door and the river itself were part of that whole experience and the installation. And in fact, one of our collaborators from Orsoni named our project and people who were part of it as Amico dell'Acqua, Friends of Water. And so it became a very convivial and collaborative commemoration in a way, not only to Venice but to the people who came to be part of our event. And I think that was a tribute to how we can bring art into an understanding that it's not only a political practice, but it's a spiritual practice, it's a convivial practice, it's a practice of the everyday, as well as one where we can be sharing artworks that are a little outside of the ordinary, but there are also still ways to think about ritual and the bringing into the everyday, the matter of art, which is what you do as an artist.
Yeah, and that's really what your practice has been about, hasn't it? For about 10 years that you've been Touchstones. It's really looking through some of the projects you've been doing all around the world, you know, a number of projects in South Africa, and indeed in all sorts of exciting places around the world. But there's a sharing, isn't there? There's a generosity, a sharing, a coming together to appreciate this amazing planet that we live on. But of course, that day in Venice, we were thinking about the environment very much there. We were very worried about the weather because it was so freezing cold and raining. And I remember you couldn't so a number of your suppliers couldn't bring their produce, or you couldn't visit their farms, could you, because of the storms. And on your day, it was quite a stormy old day, wasn't it? It wasn't lovely sunny weather. And we'd thought then really that it was the environment that we were so scared of. And then now we find, obviously, we're still the environment. We seem to have momentarily forgotten a little bit about the environment because we're thinking about this little virus. So tell me how then, since then, what kind of impact did that project, the Life of Water, has it made on your joint practice during the year? And what projects are you doing now?
Well, in 2015, we came across an institution called the Chartered Institution of Water and Environmental Management. And how we came across them was because they gave us an award as part of an ecological arts practice that they felt was doing work in the world that did answer questions about the environment. And since we've been newly established here in Suffolk, and our new studio has just evolved from an old barn, they have a journal called The Environment, and they have invited us to co-create with them on a new campaign which they're calling Planet Possibility.
Ah, exciting, what a lovely name.
To create a double-page spread, an artwork which talks to their particular invitation to bring poetry, ritual, documents, photographs, inspirations, which will actually be about healing ourselves and caring for our planet. And Flora can say more about what we're actually being invited to, the concepts and the aspirations of this particular campaign, Planet Possibility.
Yeah, Caroline, the Planet Possibility has emerged as one of these pauses, a moment for reflection during this very unusual time where people who are normally working in teams and offices and big buildings suddenly are finding themselves alone, And what we have for the first time is time.
Yeah.
A lot of people are still under huge pressure, but in amongst it, there's new energy, new dynamics, and however painful they are, there are little pockets and moments where people actually can breathe out and notice things, even if it's tiny things like the changing of a light or in the day, or an insect alighting on their windowsill.
Mm-hmm.
And the editor of the environment very much felt that we needed to tap into that kind of energy and renew ourselves and refresh ourselves and actually reimagine how we might be in the world. And so this piece of work is a beautiful conversation that we've been having about how to resource ourselves, how to regenerate our own thinking. And that's where we feel very honoured to be in this conversation with SIWEM, because actually the condition that we're in is part of a much bigger conversation we are longing to have as human beings about how we can refresh and reimagine our relationship as part of nature. And so the piece that we're doing is very much celebrating our human capacity to feel and our human capacity to think, not only with our heads, but with our hearts and with our senses, with our intuition, and really communicating to those people who are maybe feeling a bit isolated that actually they are the answer, that their humanity, their enormous untapped genius, their ability to be able to feel and belong to this incredible planet, that's the starting place for Planet Possibility. So it very much taps into the energy of Life of Water in Venice, and it's amplifying some of those feelings and some of those insights that we gained there and broadcasting them to their 10,000 members who are part of a global network over 90 countries.
What they're called again, this organisation that you're working with?
Its acronym is SIWEM, and it's the Chartered Institution of Water and Environmental Management. And they're a very, very visionary organisation who have recognised that we are now in an ecological and climate emergency. But rather than be in a panic, they're understanding that actually this is an invitation to pause and reflect and refresh ourselves, renew our thinking, reconnect to nature and to each other, just as we did in that room, that extraordinary room in Venice, where suddenly we were all one community, all connected through water to our living planet.
And so because she was very keen for us to inhabit what she was seeking to understand was ritual, the work that we've been doing has been to put our own bodies, given that we cannot be creating ritual with other people, we have been creating ritual with the field and with the soil and with water and with the plants and with the idea of a regenerative biodiversity within a field. And so we've been photographing ourselves, and then we've been creating these visionaires which talk to the theme of their collages, which address what do we feel and what do we see as being a planet possibility. And out of that, over 2 weeks, we've been distilling to create this two-page spread. And essentially there'll be a large photograph which has a silver bowl of water sitting in an open field.
Beautiful.
With a small little series of captions and images underneath, which show the process of our durational ritual with this field. So it's that idea that we're not only thinking with our own heads and our bodies and our minds and our senses, we're actually thinking with nature. We're thinking with the spirit of place. Lovely. And we're letting it lead us and it guide our actions and our visionary, our visuals, as well as our visions.
That's very lovely. Is this all going to be on your website soon? If we were to go onto the Touchstones website, we'll see it. Do you know what? That is so beautiful. It's such a wonderful, very positive outcome of everything. So, there's no way that we're being negative at all. We're not thinking, oh dear, this is a terrible situation. I mean, something incredibly positive is coming out of this. And as you rightly say, we have got this time to really think, and the planet has got so much possibility, and we've all got so much possibility. So what a gorgeous project it is that you're involved in to tease this out of people and to encourage them. So I'm so thrilled that something really positive has come out of this, and also that something so lovely has come out of your whole Venice experience. Probably you didn't know when you made this project a year ago what was going to happen. You didn't know it was going to lead in this way. So, life is so amazing in that way, isn't it? Well, I wish you all, we look forward to finding out more. So thank you so much, both of you, Flora Gathorne-Hardy, Miche Fabre Lewin of Touchstones. This is Alive in Lockdown, when we are thinking about 1 year after Alive in the Universe. So thank you, both of you, for talking to me today. And we'll say goodbye to you and goodbye to everybody. And
we'd just love to say that as well as seeing it as lockdown, we've seen this as an incredibly transformative potential time for loving up. So lockdown and love up.
So alive, we should be alive in love up.
Absolutely.
Alive in love up. Lovely seeing you, Caroline. Okay, I'm going to try and turn this off. Wait a minute, I'm going to work out how to turn it off. There we are. Goodbye, everybody.